To all my book loving family out there, hello everybody, okay? To all the bookworms out there, if your best friend is a book, hello to you, okay? Yes, I'm also a bookworm. I love reading. I love acquiring knowledge. You know, there's a lot that we can discover from reading books, okay? A lot of people who lived before us, who have had experiences, who are expertise in certain areas, they write their knowledge, they capture it in a book. So we do ourselves a favor when we find that kind of a book, read it, you know, and extract the knowledge. You can use that knowledge that we discover, you know, in the world of awesome books, okay? So yes, my name is Joy Ngesi and I am a founder of a book club, okay? But the purpose of this video is to help those people that sometimes feel like, you know, reading a book can be such a drag. Oh my gosh, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, you know, how do you even manage to read a book, okay? And then another book, and then another book, okay? Life goes on, right? I've been through that phase myself. There was a point in my life where the only book I would read was the book that had very few words and a lot of pictures, okay? Now even a magazine has a lot of words, a lot more words than the kind of books that I would read when I started my journey of reading books. You know, I just didn't really, it was not really my thing, you know? I was young at the time and our school had a tendency of sending us all kids to the library, and you know, I had to go, but the kind of book that I was going to choose must not have words. It must just have pictures. Who needs words? Well, I grew from that. I developed from that. And the first proper book that I read was a 200-page book. I read it. I'm like, whoa, I can actually read a book. I remember the title of that book, Opportunity Knocks. I can never forget. I read it twice. Yeah. So I understand how it's like when sometimes you have not developed that culture and you feel as if, you know what, reading is just for some people. Guess what? Reading is for everybody, okay? If you can read, do yourself a favor and actually read. There's a lot that you can discover from reading books. Now, I said I'm going to be sharing I promise in this video, I'm going to be sharing my top 5 tips that I use that help me to be able to start a book, a good book, and finish it, okay? But stay till the very end, because at the very end, I also have a bonus tip, okay? I'm actually going to share 6 tips, okay? There's a lot of tips, but I'm going to be sharing 6 tips in this video. I do have a bonus tip for you. Do stay till the very end. Okay, my tip number 1 is choose a book you like, okay? Now, not everybody can read any kind of book. You know, you give me some kind of books, you give me a book about, you know, a novel about a love story and stuff. I may start the first chapter, but something always happens. I just never go past the first chapter, you know. You give someone else a book about, you know, about a self-help, and they read it and it just bores them. You give someone else an autobiography and they love it, and other people, it doesn't work out, you know. So understand what kind of book appeals to you, okay? Look at the genre. Look at the kind of topic. What topic are you interested in, okay? And make sure that you choose those kind of books. For the most part, if you love, you know, to make money, guess what? Books about success and making money and investing could probably be your thing, okay? And someone else may not really benefit from that, okay? So not everybody would like the same kind of book. So my first tip, choose a book that you like, okay? Know the kind of book that you like, know the topic that you like, and choose according to the book that you actually will like, yeah? All right. My second tip, I say consider your reading habits, okay? So for example, like I said, when I started, I did not like words. My book must not have many words. If it has a lot of words, it was suffocating me. No, where are the pictures and the drawings? I was admiring the pictures. So some people, you know, they can read a book which is 300 pages, okay? Or a book which is 500 pages. But for some people, a book must, you know, a book which is 300 pages is just too much, okay? They will not even finish it. So understand your reading habits, okay? Do you prefer a book that is going to be, you know, like, do you prefer a book with moderate page numbers, okay? And then go for a book like that, okay? Maybe 200 pages could be a good book, or even 150 pages could be a good book for you, okay? And do you prefer to read, you know, in the morning? Do you prefer to read in the afternoons? Do you prefer to read, you know, with company? Do you prefer to read and discuss a book, okay? look at all of these factors, okay? Understand yourself, be true and honest to yourself, because this is going to help you when you are actually reading this kind of book. Some people like to read a book by themselves and they absorb the knowledge and they keep it to themselves. And some of us like to read and we like to share, okay? Whatever we discover, we like to talk about it, okay? You know what I just discovered, please, what's your opinion on this? Okay, let's talk about it, okay? So understand the kind of person that you are, understand, what appeals to you when it comes to reading, okay? And ensure that you incorporate that in your reading pursuits, okay, in your reading endeavors, okay? So that's my second tip. My third tip is set a deadline, okay? Now, if you have a 300-page book, okay, some people, in fact, let me not even say some people, I'm going to talk about myself. I've been in a situation where a 300-page book could take me 3 months or even 4 months, or ultimately never even get finished, okay? But I also have been in a situation where a 300-page book would be finished within 2 weeks. What was the difference? I set a deadline, okay? If you set a deadline, you tell yourself, by this time, I am going to be done with this book, okay? And, I'm going to ensure, because I've got this deadline, I'm going to set a routine, okay? I'm going to make sure that maybe 10 pages every day I'm going to read, okay? Or 2 chapters every day I'm going to read. Or, so if you have a deadline, you actually have something to work towards, okay? So if you set a deadline, you make sure that you plan your schedule accordingly. You incorporate this deadline, okay? It should not just be something that you just put in your head, okay? Maybe in my dreams, I could finish 300 pages, but set that deadline and make sure you've got realistic, ways to reaching that deadline as well, okay? So it's important that we do that. I know it definitely has helped me, okay? It worked for me, and I ensured that I incorporated that in all that I was doing. Okay, so my fourth tip is set a completion goal. What are you going to do when you're done reading this book, okay? Are you reading this book for school? Okay, maybe you're going to want to discuss it with your tutors or your teachers at school, or it's part of a course that you're doing and you've got to make a summary of it. It's easier when you definitely know you're doing it as part of a specific course, but it gets a bit slightly harder when it's just for you, right? Personal development and empowerment. Sometimes it's a drag because there's just no one putting that pressure. You've got to put that pressure for yourself. So when you set a completion deadline, okay, or a completion goal, you can just say, once I'm done with reading this book, I'm going to discuss this book with a friend of mine. Let me tell my friend, dear friend of mine, by the way, I'm reading this book now, okay? When I'm done reading this book, I want to discuss this book with you, okay? So, your friend is going to help you, okay? They're going to help you, to be a bit accountable, because they're going to ask you, oh, by the way, you said you will be sharing this book, okay? How far are you, okay? And, that can actually help you, know to actually read and finish this book, because now you actually have a goal. What are you going to do when you're done reading the book? So in our book club, for example, we would have, sessions where we discuss what we've read. We've got different facilitators helping with that. It helps when you know that after finishing reading a book, you actually are going to be held accountable. You're going to, do something. It's not just about reading and finishing, but there's going to be something beyond that. It does help you to definitely finish a book, as well as read it with understanding. When you're going to be telling someone else, they're going to ask you questions, right? So to read it with a bit more understanding. So definitely set a completion goal. Okay, my tip number 5, okay, variety is good, okay? I've been in a situation where I'm like, I'm reading this one book, and then I read this book, and then I feel, I'm actually feeling bored, right? Yeah, feeling bored could be one of the reasons why sometimes you drop out of reading a book, okay? You started reading this book, I'm like, this topic though, but now, goodness, but now, so sometimes it's good to have variety. That you read a book, on finances, because now you love that topic, and then you read a book on success, and then you read a book on empowerment, and these are books in line with your topic, by the way, but there's a bit of variety, okay? So it helps to have a bit of variety. It helps to sort of spice things up, okay? What I will also do is change scenes. So I would read a book, I would have a specific place at home. I know at this time I'm reading this book, but I will also have ways of reading this book in other places, okay? Let's say on my commute, when I'm in my lunch break, when I'm by myself, okay, at a restaurant, I've had so many different ways, okay? Like just bringing a bit of variety in perspective, variety in environment, okay, variety in the book that you're reading, okay, that variety is actually good. It helps you to actually look forward, to reading and finishing the book, okay? Yes, so that also has helped. Now, my bonus point that definitely works for me, okay? Now, this is a personal life enrichment point. You need to practice this and carry this in all that you do. This point is, for personal integrity reasons, okay? As a person, you need to be true to yourself, okay? You need to keep promises that you make to yourself. You know how easy it is for us to keep a promise, or maybe easier for us to keep a promise that we've made to someone else. You know what? I promise I'm going to pay you back your money, or I promise I'm going to finish this task, or I promise my boss I'm going to get this done, right? And for the most part, we become our own enemies. We neglect our own selves. The promises we make to ourselves, we don't keep, okay? So I promise I'm going to be on a diet, and then you start eating bad. I promise I'm going to sleep on time, and then you sleep late, okay? I'm promising myself I'm going to be honest from now on, and then you're dishonest, okay? So for the most part, we become our own enemies. We actually don't practice this. Now, if you are going to set it a goal to practice personal integrity and just say, you know what, because I've promised it to myself, I've got to do it, okay? So then you're going to make sure that whatever it is you're going to decide, when it comes to your book reading, because you have promised it to yourself, you're going to make it a priority to get it done. So if you do that, trust you me, it actually does help. It actually will help you to get into your book reading journey and to actually finish reading your books and actually look and anticipate reading more books, okay? Because once you're in the zone, okay, of reading books, there's just so much that you discover and you actually enjoy it. There's just so much information that we can learn, from those wise experts who have written various books out there. So yes, these are my top tips, okay? I'm hoping you can actually use a couple of these. They can make a difference in your book reading journey, okay? And do share a couple of your points or a couple of your tips in the description section below. I also would like to hear what has worked for you. And by the way, if you'd like to join the WhatsApp group book club, okay, we are available on WhatsApp as well as on Facebook. I'm going to share the link in the description below as well. Have a fantastic day, and yes, let's continue reading awesome books. Take care.